Hi, happy elections, TP. Thanks to everyone who came out today, and knowing you're all here supporting us means the world. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Naya Mane, and I'm running to be your next treasurer of USC Troy Phi. I'm currently one of your sophomore PACN directors, but I came to USC scared and wide-eyed, not knowing what the school would have in store for me. However, the one thing I did know for sure was that I wanted to find a community where I could connect to a part of my culture that I could never express back home in suburban Minnesota. I knew there was a strong community of Filipino students on and around USC that I wanted to be a part of, but I wasn't sure that I'd be easily accepted because I didn't look the same as everyone else. I didn't speak Tagalog, and I wasn't taught much about my heritage. However, from the first meeting I went to, I immediately found a home in TP, and I've never felt completely out of place here. From that, I've met some of my best friends that I know will be in my life for years to come. Here, I found a big family and siblings that I never got back home, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. For all that TP has given me, I knew I wanted to give back however I could, and have thus spent this year on board working with my co-hosts, Trisha and Richard, to put on the first in-person PACN this org has had in 3 years. This past school year has been such a wild ride with everyone on eBoard, and working with them to make an organization we could be proud of has been a highlight of my time as a sophomore. I've also spent a semester on TP's leadership team last spring with Nini as our intern mom, which has helped me grow and learn so much about what I wanted to do to make Troy Phi the best that it can be. Now, I want to explore what else I can do to make TP the club that I continue to look forward to every week, and following in our current treasurer's footsteps, I now think that I could do immense good as treasurer. I firmly believe that I would be a great candidate because I'm someone who always likes to stay organized in everything I do. Just don't look at my side of the room. But this past year, I learned to budget and handle my finances in a 2-unit Marshall course, and have since kept tabs on all of my expenses on a spreadsheet to stay organized. I've gained experience with fundraising and coordinating with local Filipino businesses through my time on PACN, and I hope to continue to do so this upcoming year. I'm extremely observant and detail-oriented, which is a very important trait to have when organizing our finances to make sure our records are always up to date. And I'm currently in Hope Magazine's event and fundraising team, which has helped me learn how to build connections and budget for a big event like a launch party. I've also spent time on board watching how current treasurer Jing has operated, keeping note of what they do to maintain financial stability. With my budgeting skills and what I've learned from Jing on board this past year, I know that I would do whatever I could to keep Troy Phi as enjoyable as it has been for me these past 2 years. I would like to note that I've been dreaming of going abroad for spring, but after discussing with Jing, I believe this wouldn't be a hindrance to my position as treasurer. Much of the workload happens first semester, and I have since thought ahead about how to accomplish everything I want to get done before that semester ends and I have to leave. As treasurer, I'll continue to create monthly reports to present at board meetings to help keep boarders accountable and updated, while also keeping general members in the know about what their dues go to. I intend to have merch and sticker designs ready early on in the year to then be able to advertise for students throughout the entire school year, while also implementing constant reminders for membership dues and payment plans for GMs to be aware of so they can plan accordingly. I will allocate a certain amount of money to each org depending on their needs for the year, but will above else always plan to have a little extra funds at the ready in case we encounter any surprise costs while planning your programming for the upcoming year. I intend to continue to decrease dues by increasing diverse fundraising efforts so that we can create an environment that is both affordable and welcoming for everyone who walks through our doors. I promise to accurately and actively communicate with the rest of the board about whatever needs I might have and have occasional check-ins with each of the teams. Most importantly, I vow to listen to everyone who comes to me and advocate for them so that everyone's voices feel heard in our community. Then, in the spring, I'd be happy to continue to do work virtually or delegate some of the execution of my planning for first semester to another amazing co that would be able to pick up where I left off. Before I end, I'd like to thank you all for listening to my speech tonight, as I'm sure you all want to get on with your evening, but I hope that I have shown you here today why I would be a good candidate for the treasurer position. Everyone's voice counts in order to make Troy Phi the community that we all know and love. And as our family grows and shrinks throughout the years, fostering such a strong community is vital to ensuring that our legacy at USC lives on. I hope you will allow me to continue to give back to the community that has welcomed me with such open arms, as it has hopefully done for all of you. And I hope that I'll be able to do so as your treasurer. Thank you.
Hello, Kapamilya. My name's Colleen, and thank you for being with me here today and for giving me this opportunity to tell y'all why I'm a very slay choice for treasurer. First off, I'll start off with my qualifications for this position, followed by my ideas and plans for Troy Phi as treasurer. As for qualifications, I'm currently co-director of cultural engagement with Miggy, and I was in the spring 2022 leadership cohort. Experience being on eBoard has given me a lot of insight on how the club functions and how to best approach things. Being on board has also allowed me to understand the logistics and financials of a lot of our events, which should help me allocate our budget the best we can for cost reduction. An example of TP financial experience I have was during PAM, where I had to wrestle with APASA and USG for funding to support our Filipino desserts meeting, which I also helped spearhead. I also worked with finances for my work-study job. I just finished a spreadsheet about managing finances for all of our Trojan Marching Band members, so I literally do this as a job. Moreover, I study accounting, so what I learned here at USC directly aligns with the duties as treasurer, so I'm confident that I can perform my job well. Now I want to talk about my ideas as treasurer. Starting off, I know transparency has been an issue because a lot of y'all have been wondering where your dues go. I plan on releasing a monthly document in the newsletter outlining our expenses and profits in an easy-to-read format so it's more accessible for y'all. I also plan on reintroducing a reduced fees option for member dues because I don't want finances to be a barrier for new or returning members. With this, I understand that some Troy Phi events can be expensive, like GM Retreat and Banquet. To lessen the costs, I am planning on working with programming to fundraise for these events to make it more accessible for y'all. And speaking of fundraisers, we have had a lot of successful ones this year, but I have a couple more ideas. Like, I thought about doing a PVW themed fundraiser, like something our past treasurers did in the past was an all-you-can-eat rice type fundraiser, which is good. We could also collab with other unis. So back in the fall, UCI and UCLA reached out to me for a joint event, so it got me thinking, why not do joint fundraisers to empower the Filipino community? Sober events like casino nights, so people who don't usually go to parties still have events they can enjoy, and ads for small or Filipino-owned businesses. These can be done through social media like an eBoard bingo or member challenges, tabling by the village intersection, and selling donuts, or by partnering with small businesses. I also want to bring up PACN, especially because it's an integral part of Troy Phi and it's expensive. So I plan on increasing fundraising efforts to support them. I don't want us to scale down on it just because we couldn't afford it, and I want our current and future members to be able to enjoy it to the fullest. As treasurer, I also believe that it's still my job to get to know our general members and to get new people to join our club. I know clique culture has been a problem in Troy Phi, and how can we serve our community if people don't even want to contribute or join our events? As a board member, I have to continue being receptive to our members so I know what they want and to help foster a warm and welcoming community within Troy Phi. Along with that, something I really admired about Jing's role as treasurer is how they work with e-boarders to plan events, and I plan on continuing that so events run more smoothly and to minimize costs. The most important point I have, however, is that I love Troy Phi and I believe that this is the best way I can utilize my strengths to serve this organization. This club has been an integral part of my college experience, and I know that I would regret it if I didn't even try to do the most I can and give my 110% for this club. I don't want to run for board just to get a position. I want to run because I believe that I still have a lot left to contribute for this club, and because my strengths are best suited to serve y'all as TP treasurer. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening, and let me know if you guys have any more questions.
Hello, everyone. If this is your first time meeting me, my name is Jessica Grace Labrador, but you can call me Jess. I'm extremely honored to be running to be Troy Philippines' next treasurer. I wanted to start off by thanking you all for coming out tonight and joining us for elections, making your voices heard, and helping decide the future of Troy Phi. When I first came to USC as a freshman, the transition was really rough, and it took me a while to get involved. I remember being so overwhelmed by all of the people yelling at me and shoving pamphlets in my hands at my first involvement fair, and it was so shocking going to my first college club meetings and seeing that I would have to pay upwards of $100, if not hundreds of dollars to even call myself a part of the organization. I did not join any clubs my first semester here. It felt like way too much. I found Troy Philippines, though it's more like Troy Phi found me, my spring semester, and I was pleasantly surprised to learn that being a part of Troy Phi did not have such a big price tag. It was also so amazing finding a community that celebrates Filipino culture so wholeheartedly. I hit the ground running, and I joined the leadership intern program that semester. This fall and spring semester, I served as a PACN intern where I began and managed the PACN Instagram account. In these positions, I worked closely with Troy Philippines eBoard and learned about the processes the board goes through when they plan events and make decisions. Furthermore, in my student worker position with the annual giving office of USC Advancement Operations, I process the pledges and donations that donors give to USC as part of the school's fundraising efforts. I have experience in maintaining their financial records and helping the office make sure that funds are allocated to the appropriate accounts. This past fall and spring, the amount people needed to pay for membership dues was lower than it was when I first joined, thanks to our previous treasurer, Jang. If I am elected the next treasurer, I will draw on my planning experience as an intern for Troy Philippines and my organizational skills as part of USC's fundraising initiatives to keep membership dues affordable and make sure that Troy Phi's finances are handled responsibly. I would also like to increase our fundraising events and potentially partner with small businesses in the area for both sponsorships, restaurant fundraising events, and even discounts. I'm running to be Troy Phi's next treasurer so that students never have to have their unique financial situations keep them from getting involved with Troy Phi. To do my best for fun activities, experiences, and our community to be accessible as possible, all the while raising money for Troy Philippines and making sure our organization's money is handled appropriately and responsibly. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Nicole Concepcion, and I would be honored to be your Troy Phi treasurer next year. For those who do know me, I hope that my time on leadership and intern board throughout all 4 of my semesters at USC has shown my passion and dedication to the club. I know my experiences being involved with Troy Phi and closely following eBoard agendas will make me effective at budgeting and prioritizing events that I know require the most work and support. I especially think my organizational skills would make me a great treasurer. I love spreadsheets and use them efficiently. Most notably, when I was PACN secretary this year, I made spreadsheets for everything, from costume sizes to nickeling position preferences to buddy pairings to schedules. I take great pride in the organization, neatness, and efficiency of my spreadsheets. This not only emphasizes my attention to detail, but also shows that I am not afraid to put in the work to improve this club I love so much. I also recognize that Troy Phi can be really expensive. After doing the math, I calculated if one wanted to go to friendship games, retreat, and banquet, all while being a dues-paying member, they could spend up to $225, not including the other TP things that they may want to spend money on. To resolve these issues without raising dues, I would like to be more proactive with our fundraising efforts. From observing the monthly transactions provided in eBoard agendas, I find that our most effective fundraisers involve external fundraising. This means reaching out to non-members for funds, like you see with Socials and Troy Pi. I personally really want to see us try tabling on Trousdale. We could hold a clothing drive or sell Filipino food such as barbecue skewers, lumpia, or even rent a taho cart and sell cups to not only make money for the club, but also share culture with USC. I also want to have something like Troy Pi during the fall semester. This could be something like a dunk tank, a bingo dare board, or a duct tape fundraiser, where someone pays to add a piece of duct tape to stick the president to a wall. Simple fundraisers like going to Chipotle or Yogurtland can also be an easy way to provide opportunities for members to go eat together while raising funds without needing much support from eBoard. Having more fundraisers, especially sooner rather than later, is necessary for club profit. I also think we've had a lot of missed opportunities with our local Filipino businesses for funding. When I was on intern board last year, we helped PACN by emailing from a list of 200 Filipino businesses for sponsorship. I personally emailed 12 businesses and even got a response from one wanting to support us. Imagine reaching out to all 200 of those businesses. This, along with my experience as outreach intern personally contacting high schools, has prepared me to professionally represent our club and make a strong case for ourselves. I personally would like to be more connected with local Filipino businesses, so I think reaching out for sponsors or new potential fundraiser locations could be a really helpful way to raise money and build relations with the Filipino community. I also want to promote transparency in Troy Phi transactions to ease frustrations amongst general members and e-boarders. For general members, I'd like to implement clearer benefits to joining Troy Phi, such as giving members discounts for local places and more merch. As someone who designed one of the stickers this year for the merch fundraiser, I believe I'm also qualified to build upon our merch line. After seeing the success of the Troy Phi tote bags, I want to branch out and implement more non-clothing merchandise, such as backpacks, water bottles, and bumper stickers. I also want to establish a more accessible payment plan option for people. Rather than personally reaching out to the treasurer to ask for a payment plan or discount for events or dues, which can be intimidating for a new member, members can use a support form to voice their financial concerns to me a little more indirectly. This way, I hope to encourage more participation from members with less financial barriers. Another big thing I am passionate about is transparency with funding to the rest of eBoard. Now, I know I check the monthly transactions because I like to see that data, but I know it's not for everyone. To help eBoarders visualize this the way I do, I'd like to consolidate our monthly transactions into visually pleasing graphs and charts, which would be easy for me to do given my experience with Google Sheets. This would concisely display what the reality of our financial situation is and what my plans are with our transactions. It's my goal to keep these communications clear so I could work better with my fellow e-boarders to make sure their events are successful. Another way I could help e-boarders with the success of their events is by keeping track of not only our financial resources, but as well as our physical resources through an itemized inventory. This could refer to plates, cups, utensils, costumes, food, or drinks that may be left over from various events. Doing so would allow the club to save money by buying more things in bulk and not having to use unnecessary expenses. I hope that my experiences in Troy Phi and my goals for the year can convince you all to vote for me. Thank you all for listening and nominating me for this position.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Denise Stark, and I am running to be one of the programming directors for next year. I'm currently a junior, and I've been in Troy Phi since my freshman year, so back when we had meetings on Zoom. Although I was introduced to this organization through my laptop screen, I was able to feel the love and community from this organization. I'm pretty sure during lockdown, everyone's struggling with all the restrictions, limitations, boredom, and uncertainty that occur for the future. But every week, I look forward to sitting down in my bedroom on Thursday nights at 7 p.m., logging onto the Troy Phi meetings. In the breakout rooms, even though there were moments of awkward silence, I was always greeted with smiles and energy, making my introverted self feel welcomed. After the GMs, another Zoom meeting would be made just for people to hang out, talk, rant, watch movies, and play Among Us together until the early morning. More and more every week, Troy Phi started feeling like my second home. It started feeling like my second family. In my limited TP experience that semester, I knew I wanted to be more involved, so I applied for the leadership program where I was under the guide of Alex, and this past semester I applied to be an intern for programming. As programming intern, I saw all the challenges Nina and Stevie faced and all the work they had to do to make sure all of our events ran smoothly. At the same time, along with my co-intern Megan, we helped organize the CAPA program this semester as well as coordinate retreat and banquet. My experiences in leadership and as an intern made me want to become more involved in TP and wanting to provide the same spaces that I was given on those Thursday nights over Zoom. One of the reasons why I consider Troy Phi to be my second home is because of the Kappa Amelia program. Most people don't know this, but I'm actually a spring admit. However, I joined Troy Phi in the middle of the fall semester my freshman year. My older sister Rachel convinced me to join during Kappa season because she knew of some people who she felt would be a good big for me. When I joined, speed dating had already happened, and I was kind of thrown into the deep end and just based my preferences off of the member profiles. And lo and behold, during reveals, Ellie popped onto my screen. Since then, she has not only been my ate and helped be a mentor for me, but she has also become one of my best friends. And I hope for this experience to impact all members the way it has impacted me. Within the Kappa program, my main focus will be to foster an environment that mirrors what I experienced when I joined Troy Phi. This issue can be tackled by having more mixers prior to the matching process, have more TP Goes events that creates a space for more people to get to know each other, specifically new members. These events can be held at the beach, like a beach bonfire, or simply host a picnic somewhere here on campus, where it serves as an additional space for Troy Phi members to get closer and come together as family. Similarly to how it was this past semester, I would like to continue to have FAMs, however, not have it be advertised as much. I do believe that FAMs are a great first step for new members to have a foundation to lean upon, where the FAM provides the first sense of community to the new members of Troy Phi. As it says in the name of the position, Programming Director is in charge of planning all of the activities and events of the club. One event that I would want to bring to Troy Phi if I were to be Programming Director would be to create an event that utilizes things such as sports to foster a greater sense of community. This event can be tackled by programming and other positions on eBoard. I would call this event Tara Na. In English, Tara Na means let's go, a phrase I often use when I get hyped up, whether that be getting a good grade on an exam or playing basketball. Tara Na would be an event where different organizations, whether it be cultural orgs here at USC or other Filipino organizations from different schools, come together for a sports tournament where there will ultimately be one victor at the end of the day. During this event, we can have a basketball or volleyball tournament where everyone is invited to play no matter the skill level. Although it would be a competition, the main purpose of this is to foster a sense of community within Troy Phi and with other organizations. And now, we must decide who to elect. Bearing in mind that our only decision not only impacts Troy Phi for the 2023-2024 school year, but that our decision has substantial implications for the future Filipinos of USC. And so we ask ourselves the question as old as Troy Phi itself. What does it mean to be Filipino? Well, we answer that question every day. We are what it means to be Filipino. We are the manifestations of the Filipino identity, and it is incumbent upon us to represent it to the fullest of our potential. We do this knowing that we will never fully encompass the entire Filipino identity, but we choose to use that goal as our guiding light. For the love, for the culture, maraming salamat.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Pabelico and I am running for the eBoard position of programming for the incoming school year. Before I begin, I would just like to thank Mr. President Jaden Mullen for nominating me for this position. If you don't know me, I am currently intern for Nina and Stevie, this year's co-programming directors, and I gained a lot of valuable insight about how the position should be ran, as they did an amazing job this year, with still more to come, with Banquet and Assassins, which you should all participate in. Through helping with the Capamelia program and planning retreat and banquet, these tasks have helped me prepare for the jobs and responsibilities that I will be dealing with if I were to be elected. I would love to implement more events and activities for general and new members to get to know each other before the CAPA program to make it less intimidating and stressful to get paired with. Alongside this, I think it is also super important to create more dedicated and organized FamLine hangouts for whoever is available, to establish a closer connection with people in your line without putting all of the responsibilities on, say, a fam head or big, as that sometimes can be overwhelming. I have also previously interned for Scott at the position of internal vice president, and this gave me a lot of insight to Troy Phi and the direction that the club will be taking in the future, getting to spend a lot of time with the leadership interns. The thing that I am most proud of from my time being in Troy Phi is having the opportunity to follow through with an event that started in my head and eventually grew to become a reality. By spearheading the LMU and USC Filipino Picnic Collab, I learned about the many different moving parts that it takes to put on major club events. This process required a lot of work, but was rewarding in the end when everything finally came together. This event showed me the potential that TP has to do things that are much bigger than just us, and I hope to continue the bond that I've established with LMU in the future and expand it to other schools so we can all connect with one another around the love and culture of being Filipino. I appreciate everyone that allowed me to pursue this passion project, as it showed me that even though I was someone that was not on eBoard, my ideas were still valued, and I know I have what it takes to continue contributing my skills to the current TP events that we already know and love, as well as potential new events. As someone that came to USC in the spring as a transfer student, it was really, really hard for me to find my place at this school. I was really sad and would end up going home after a day of classes because I really had no one to turn to, as I felt like I honestly wasn't good enough to be at the school. As I became more active at TP, I learned that this really is a family. I became so close with many people that I am now able to call some of my best friends. If I were to be elected for the position of programming, I would love to help make the space what it was for me and help provide that experience to all of the general members of Troy Phi. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Kayla Spiritu, and I first wanted to start by mentioning how honored I am to be running as one of your program directors, and I apologize that I couldn't be with y'all in person. If I'm being honest, when I was younger, I wasn't connected to my Filipino culture at all, and quite frankly, I was unbothered by it. To me, being Filipino was nothing more than having the last name of Spiritu and looking a little different from the other kids in my classes. I grew up in East County, San Diego, after all. That was until my freshman year of high school when one of our PE units focused on tinikling. That same year, my best friends were two girls I met from my swim team who I bonded with because we were all half Filipino. For once in my life, being Filipino was more than pancit and lumpia on my birthday and watching the live crabs at Seafood City. It was when I first realized that there had been a community behind it all. My first few weeks at USC were really tough. I was dealing with major homesickness and was thinking about transferring somewhere back home. And when on a particularly lonely Thursday, I called my dad begging him to pick me up from SC. And coincidentally, it was the same Thursday as Kappa speed dating. So when my dad was making the 3-hour drive from home, I decided to fill my time by attending. Little did I know it would be the same night I met my Ate Alex and my twin Natty B. That was the first time I truly felt like I belonged somewhere. And when I returned to SC on that Sunday, I was no longer met with the same anxiety that left me lonely, but with excitement to see the people I would end up calling family. Since then, my family in Troy Phi has grown immensely, and I'd like to think this term extends to all of you. Having served on the leadership board my freshman year and serving as director of development this year has equipped me with both the leadership and communication skills needed to continue harvesting the same sense of community I fell in love with. As programming director, I hope to amplify the sense of unity amongst individuals and the fans by organizing events that foster genuine connections. One of my ideas is to host more multi-fam hangouts that are focused on getting to know each other, as well as events that create a vulnerable space to allow individuals to get to know each other past a superficial level. This vision even reflects in my work this year as I prioritize time in each of the GMs I hosted for people to connect with others that they weren't already close with. I also want to emphasize the mentorship aspect of the Kapamilya program since I truly believe that all audience are deserving of an amazing kuyate that they can rely on during a new period of their life. And I hope to do this by continuing Stevie and Nina's Kappa info sessions that they started this semester. But most importantly, I want to branch the bridge between board members and general members by receiving feedback and requests of what you want to see for our programming, as it's important to me that you guys have a say in the club you're a part of. I hope to continue the same legacy that made Troy Phi home to me. After Mo, I wouldn't be Lupe with all of y'all. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, and I hope that you consider me to be one of your programming directors. Thank you. Bye.
Hello everyone, my name is Abby Pingle and I'm one of the nominees for Troy Philippines as programming directors for the upcoming 2023-2024 school year. I believe one of the most memorable parts of being a part of Troy Philippines is the sheer number of fun hangout events that the programming directors prepare and host. In addition to them being fun, I believe they were also quite the cornerstone of my time here, not only in Troy Phi, but also in USC. Personally, I was the only person from my close friend group at home and one of the few Filipino individuals from my high school that decided to attend USC, so needless to say, I was on a rocky path. Definitely not dire, but just enough to make me feel just a bit unsure of my place here at USC. Then, I stumbled upon a booth for this club during one of the club day events that enticed students of all ages, especially first years, hoping to find a group that they would simply fit in such a large institution. Troy Philippines was that group for me. With events like the beach bonfire during the fall semester, TP banquet during the end of the spring semester, these events and so many more always give me a reason, like I need one, to both continue my time here at USC and contribute to this very organization. This doesn't even mention the iconic Big Little program that we have. All in all, I just want to allow people to easily and comfortably connect with themselves and others. I believe that being with the right people brings out the best in ourselves. Knowing that, I want to help create the environment for these connections to fully blossom. I really want to witness that as a potential programming director because I, myself, experienced many connections because of this club. Finding a place in college can be rough, trying to navigate and push that comfort zone. I, as a potential programming director, want to ease that process for both incoming and transfer students, just like previous program directors have done for me throughout my time here. I want incoming and current members to be comfortable and to both feel and know that they have a place here in Troy Philippines. Hosting events is one thing, but I think we can push a little bit further by implementing forms of etiquette to not only bring in students, but also to keep their engagement. First impressions and engagement are two different things, so as a programming director, I will meticulously ensure that these two factors be beneficial for incoming members and us. A simple, consistent greeting outside the door before each GM, having board members walk around and converse with new faces. These are just a few of the small things I want to implement more consistently because the small things really do matter. I also want to mention briefly that I'm very much open to collaborating with fellow eBoard members. For instance, I believe that collaborating more with the treasurer will allow us to create energetic events involving food, goodies, what have you, while also not passing a certain financial threshold. Programming directors and development can collaborate to create larger workshops, potentially with USC or Troy Phi alumni that are open to all. All in all, I really want to provide a safe and welcoming environment for current and incoming members of Troy Philippines. Upon entering the club, I was given smiles and laughter. The least I can do as a programming director is do the same for multiple members now and in the future. Thank you.
Hello, Troy Phi, e-boarders, future e-boarders, and general members. My name is Michael Young, and I'm a rising junior running for co-programming chair. I thank those who have supported me to this point, and especially I thank those who nominated me. I promise that your trust and input will be heard and applied. I've been an active member of Troy Phi for 3 semesters, and in my time, I've joined leadership and even served as a programming intern last year to familiarize myself more with eBoard, the programming department, and of course, Troy Phi. I love being in Troy Phi because of the performances we hold, the celebrations and parties that we kind of get shut down, but most importantly, the people and the community here that I get to interact with every day and every week. I want to run as co-programming chair because I want to create a Filipino club that others will want to join and be embraced in. I want to create and host programs and events that put members and member interactions at the forefront of the club. Next year, I aim to orient our club's focus to a theme of community building, with programs like CAPA and more ideas that I'll introduce later. So, how am I going to do it? Firstly, I want to explain my experience and why I'm qualified. I was my high school's co-president, and I spearheaded about 90% of our biannual Spirit Week and events. These events include things like a mental health initiative, town halls, and of course, inter-school hangouts and parties. Of course, online though, during COVID. Other events that I've held and hosted and emceed are our multicultural fair, where we gather so many clubs together just to display and celebrate who we are and our cultural heritage. Additionally, I've also collaborated with my pre-physical therapy club eBoard as a co-PR director to host our annual pre-physical therapy conference that is always so successful. I've been the leader of multiple cultural clubs, like my Filipino one in high school, and of course, even my Chinese cultural club. Secondly, I'll explain my ideas for the club. I want to incorporate more CAPA-focused events. CAPA means so much to me because as someone who's been on the Troy Phi margins, it's a blessing, and I'm so proud to say that I have a home in the Jing line and in Guap. Hashtag Guapirism. CAPA is a system that is driven to not let someone feel unappreciated. That's why FAMs are so important. I want FAMs back because it provides a space which we can help people realize their identity with. It's a community of people just like them that makes them feel at home. But in addition to that, I want to focus so much attention on the big-little relationship. Just like, imagine you guys are at a party and we say, Bigs, grab your littles, grab your friends, grab your fam. It's CAPA shot time, right? These are just one of the many ideas that I have. I want to introduce more Troy Phi coordinated events and activities for bigs and littles to hang out in. I want to introduce something called Fall Frenzy. This is a March Madness structured event, tournament style, where bigs grab their littles and compete against other big little pairings, or even lines, or even fams, in a Troy Phi coordinated setting. This will serve as a precursor to friendship games and kind of get people hyped for friendship games in October. The incentive to participate? Maybe a paid trip to Top Golf or Dave & Buster's. Who knows, maybe we can even invite other schools like CSULA and LMU to join us. Other events would be CAPA Goes, where bigs can invite their littles to the beach, to malls, to Little Tokyo, and more. Think even sober socials. Prior to reveals, speed dating and CAPA social were the only events that people can meet potential bigs, but some people might even just want to hang out and have a social with their bigs in a sober setting. These are the type of interactions that bigs and littles need to grow closer, that people need to kind of be embraced in Troy Phi. This embrace is what I want to focus on, that relationship, that people want to actually come to Troy Phi because they will feel embraced and appreciated and valued. I want members to be at the forefront of our club. That is my goal as an elected member beyond programming. I want to advocate for more member-focused general meetings. Imagine PAM, Filipino American History Month, members get into groups and they create an art piece. They get a presentation of what their favorite part of Filipino culture is, and then they share it at the front of the forum. Imagine people are at the club meetings, general regular meetings, and they are just competing against each other, smile on their faces, intent to win in their heart. They feel valued. They feel seen. They feel heard at the front. This is what I want to advocate for. Members should have meetings where they do things instead of just to listen. They're in lectures all day. Troy Fi is a place for them to have fun and feel relaxed and feel happy. E-boarders need to come to them. E-boarders and just anyone, especially their bigs, just come to them and connect with them. Listen to them, see them. It's not enough just to feel welcomed. They need to feel wanted. I want to advocate for member-focused general meetings because of this. I want to focus on the COPPA program and Big Little relationships because of this. Members will remember the fun that they had, the smiles that were put on their faces. They'll remember their big talking to them and inviting them to events like Fall Frenzy. They will feel loved and appreciated because of us. I'm a visionary who will do what it takes to see his vision become realized. And I intend to do that with the COPPA program, with everything else I've said. So I am asking you, please vote for me for programming chair. And I promise I will help make Troy Fi a more tightly knit community where members are seen, valued, and won.
Hello everyone, my name is Abby Pingle and I'm one of the nominees for Troy Philippines' Internal Vice President for the upcoming 2023-2024 school year. During the times that I have been managing my academics, this club, this cultural organization has always been a source of happiness, comfort, and cultural awareness. My college experience would not be the same if I hadn't encountered this club. Because of this, I wholeheartedly want to give back to it in some way, which is why I am incredibly fortunate to have been nominated as IVP. As a potential IVP, I understand the responsibilities that I will have, such as ensuring that we as an organization, as a diverse group of individuals, are recognized by the university, remaining impartial to potential grievances by anyone who we call family in the club, enforcing our organization's policies regarding respect and awareness, and guiding the potential future members of Troy Philippines through the leadership program. I also want to clarify the topic of remaining impartial to potential grievances. Troy Philippines isn't a perfect organization. We're going to have disagreements whether that we describes general members or even e-board members. It is my responsibility to uphold professionalism during the times that I will mediate conflict. I will take my time to understand both sides of an argument, no matter how dire or polarizing. Once I believe that has been achieved, I will attend to the matter at hand to ensure that involved parties have a say and leave having a plan of what to do next on how to solve the situation. Throughout my time here at Troy Fi, I just knew that I wanted to assist in providing a safe, comfortable, and fun environment for new students and members. There are many tasks, yes, but I will meticulously adhere to these tasks to the best of my abilities, keeping in mind the well-being of club and non-club members, just like previous IVPs have done for me. Additionally, as I know many of you are aware, we are currently constructing a timeline of Troy Philippines' history as not only a USC organization, but also a cultural Filipino group in the midst of a predominantly white institution. I am a firm believer that we are history in the making. It's our job to preserve the history that was made before us and commemorate and recognize those who have contributed to the existence of Troy Philippines since its foundation. Because of that, I will be more than willing to keep the enthusiasm and momentum that this project has already garnered so far. I also want to re-emphasize the interest groups that our current IVP Scott has implemented this year. Whether through a separate email address or my school email to lay a lot of the burden off the rest of eBoard, I want to be potentially able to compartmentalize all potential groups and continue to garner this comfy environment next year. With the start of a new year, interests are bound to be fresh, and I will be sure to be at the forefront of creating those interest groups that will inevitably bring people together. I would also like to mention that I have been an intern for PACN and CC. For PACN, I acted as a liaison between different parties involved in PACF, namely the Caruso Center. For CC, I assisted with the Galo tables and PVW, which I hope gave others the enthusiasm that they needed to get through the day. With these experiences, I believe I have fostered an essential amount of experience to connect with others in both professional and casual environments and Troy Fi affiliated and non-Troy Fi affiliated environments. All in all, as IVP, I want to be able to inherit and pass down the strength and culture that this club resonates with its members and more. I want to be a source of comfort and fortitude for all of you and future members. I want to be able to create long-lasting connections with fellow members and allow you to do so among yourselves too. Lastly, I just want to thank you and impel us to know our history, be history, and change history. Thank you.
Hi everyone. First, I'd like to thank y'all for showing unwavering support to all of the candidates. Your love for the culture means the world to each and every one of us. If you don't know me, my name is Natalie Byan, and I am running to be your next internal vice president. Before I begin, allow me to introduce myself. I'm a 5'2" sophomore from Carson, California. I tend to drink my weight in coffee, and according to Myers-Briggs, I'm an ENFJ. Now, I'd like to tell y'all a little story. It begins in the fall of my freshman year, undoubtedly one of the lowest points in my life. Being the only person from my high school to attend USC felt lonely, and I was homesick, and maybe I hadn't made the correct choice in universities. In an effort to find community, I took a stroll down the tables of Truesdale during the involvement fair, and to my surprise, a voice approached me saying, "Yo, are you Filipino?" To no surprise, this was none other than our current IVP, Scott. I went home that day feeling hopeful that I would make friends that eventually felt like family. Unknowingly, this encounter gifted me the chance to be myself and connect with the people I now call my best friends. When Nini had announced the opportunity to join her fall leadership cohort, I enthusiastically applied. I never would have imagined meeting every Monday night in Levy Library would be transformative for my college experience, but I cemented countless friendships, continued to develop as a leader, and continued to connect with my Filipino heritage. When doing my presentation at the end of the semester, I got a little emotional because my cohort provided me with comfort in a time when I so desperately needed it. From this experience, I knew I wanted to continue to give back to Troy Phi. That next semester, I simultaneously served as the intern for both advocacy and programming, learning the ropes from both Mego and Ellie. This year, I had the privilege of serving as one of your social chairs alongside my forever co, Caden Tran. Together, we navigated various challenges such as event planning, conflict management, and perfecting our signature jungle juice. In addition to the valuable positions I have held in TP, last summer I served as an orientation advisor where my sole responsibility was to help acclimate incoming Trojans to college. I firmly believe that my responsibilities will directly translate to the role of IVP, providing a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen, and a heart that empathizes with people from all walks of life. With regard to tangible goals for next year, as IVP, I promise to make the leadership experience a positive one in a variety of ways, such as culturally enriching field trips, cohort volunteer events that benefit the surrounding Filipino community, leadership development workshops, event planning, and bonding activities that allow interns to be acquainted with one another and USC. Additionally, IVP addresses conflict within the organization, from general disagreements to blacklisting problematic individuals at social events, which I have dealt with firsthand. When conflict arises, I am the type of person that doesn't shy away. I tend to face situations head-on, discussing with all parties involved and finding reasonable solutions. However, I am proud to admit that I value the opinions of others. I have no problem seeking advice from other e-board members to ensure fairness, equity, and inclusion, a vital quality in order to foster the safe, welcoming environment that we all know and love. For these reasons, I know I'm uniquely qualified of making Troy Phi the best that it can be. Before I conclude, I leave you with this. Everything I've learned about IVP has come from those who've served before. My ate Alex, Nini, and Scott have all been crucial and inspiring role models. I know from them, to be IVP is to be a friend, a sounding board, and an advocate for all. At my core, I'm an older sister. I am patient, calm under pressure, and I lead by example. At my core, I am a friend. In all situations, I seek to provide others with comfort, advice, and a helping hand. At my core, I am a teammate. My leadership style is collaborative, optimistic, and relentless. At my core, I'm a daughter. I'm a daughter of a Filipino-Mexican household where culture is at the center of my daily life. And at my core, I am confident I will thrive as Troy Phi's next internal vice president. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Pereno, but most of y'all probably know me as Jing, and I'm super excited and grateful to speak to y'all as a candidate for Internal Vice President of Troy Philippines for the upcoming school year. Internal Vice President is a position that has been on my mind and in my heart for so long. My first Troy Phi meeting was speed dating on Zoom, so it was really chaotic, but I loved getting to meet everyone and hear their stories. The breakout rooms were arranged by FAMs, so I immediately got to see those bonds and the possibility for a community that I have always longed for. This is how my love for Troy Phi started and when I knew that I wanted to be more involved. The following semester in the spring, I joined leadership under Ata Alex, which is where I met so many of my closest friends and my most trusted confidants. The program taught me the importance of discovering myself and what it means to be Filipino American. As a sophomore, I was an intern for the outreach director in the T-POP program, which gave me invaluable experience with leading and supporting high schoolers in making relevant curriculum to support their personal and professional development. I also had the opportunity to step up as one of the directors of last year's Philippine American Culture Night, and in this position, I had to actively resolve conflicts as they came and mediate tensions between the other directors. This year, I've had the great honor of serving as your treasurer, and I got to work very closely with eBoard, interns, and leadership to plan and fund our signature events and create an effective budget for the org. The role of treasurer requires me to know everything that's happening in the org and how to manage communication with each position so that everyone is heard and satisfied. I am forever thankful for everything that I've learned from my peers, whether that's eBoard, interns, or GMs. Because of y'all, I became more familiar with what it means to be a leader in this org and what gaps need to be filled. I want to work with the next treasurer, directors of cultural engagement, director of development, directors of advocacy, and eBoard as a whole to plan leadership trips to Hi-Fi, foster individual and cultural development, and find opportunities to volunteer and support the Filipino or LA community. Troy Phi has the ability to call attention to Philippine issues and make lasting change, and I would love to guide leadership interns in these efforts. I've also been working with Jumpstart for the past 2 years, and I've been able to move on to leading my own team this past year. Leading my 4 team members and teaching an entire preschool class has given me so much experience working with different personalities and learning how to make each person feel heard and understood, which is so important to the role of IVP. I want to be IVP because I have such an intense love for Troy Phi and for each of you. Because of all of these factors, I believe I have a great foundation and so much passion to support everyone and give them the opportunity to grow from their experiences, learn from their peers, and find comfort in each other. As an individual, I truly prioritize empathy, self-growth, and empowerment, and I would love to bring that to the position of IVP. Stakeholder engagement is also genuinely so important to me and the well-being of this org, and I would love to be an IVP that bridges the gap between general members and eBoard. I want you to feel represented on board, and that your perspectives are considered in our conversations. I want to be a resource, a sounding board, a supporter, an advocate, a friend, anything you want or need. Thank you so much again for the opportunity to speak to y'all tonight and grow together. For the love, for the culture.
Hello again, everyone, and hi as well for those of you viewing from home. Once again, my name is Jessica Grace Labrador, but again, you can call me Jess. And I'm extremely honored to be running to be Troy Philippines' next internal vice president. Thank you all again for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today for elections, make your voices heard, and help decide the future of Troy Phi. I am truly humbled to be able to stand in front of you all today. Troy Philippines is an amazing organization, and I love being a part of it. I joined Troy Phi in spring 2022 after a very tumultuous transition coming into USC as a freshman, but when I was ready, I wanted to get as involved as possible. I joined the Leadership Intern Program under that year's Internal Vice President Nini, and that was the beginning of one of my favorite journeys of my college experience, being a part of Troy Phi. It was so wonderful to be surrounded by people who are united by our shared love for Filipino culture and in our individual, unique exploration of what being Filipino or Filipino American means to us. Troy Phi is special to me as one of the first spaces I felt truly welcomed here at USC, and I hope to contribute to Troy Phi's accepting and welcoming environment in any way I can. Honestly, my nomination came as a surprise to me, but I will do everything I can to create and better this space for every member of Troy Phi if I'm elected your next IVP. Since joining the Leadership Intern Program last spring, I've also served 2 semesters on the intern board as PACN intern, and I've worked closely with Troy Phi's eBoard to learn how the board plans and executes events. Through these experiences, I've grown in both my organizational, interpersonal, and creative skills, as well as in my love for Troy Phi. The skills I've built and the knowledge I've gained through my time so far as a part of Troy Phi will inform the actions I'll take if I'm elected your next IVP. My diverse experiences make me well equipped to help lead office hours, as I am always prepared to talk, to listen, and, if they ask for it, give advice to my peers. I'm equipped to manage the Leadership Intern program, as I was once a leadership intern myself, and when I led my high school student government, led activities with groups as small as 20 and as big as 2,000. I want to continue planning events that give members the opportunity to bond, such as the Troy Phi Interest Group initiative started by current IVP Scott. I'm familiar with the formal responsibilities an IVP has in order to maintain Troy Phi's internal affairs, but over everything, I will keep the greater purpose of fostering and uplifting an environment of personal growth, camaraderie, and belonging at the forefront. I'm open to every and all suggestions and input and want to make sure that your voice as a member of Troy Phi is taken into consideration all throughout the year, not only during election season. I'll do this by continuing to utilize the current response form that you might know as Kamusta Ka, begun by Alex, one of Troy Phi's previous IVPs under a different name, yes, but if I'm elected as your next IVP, I'll also take the initiative to reach out to you, to check in, get your input, and even just to chat. Over everything, I want to give back to an organization that gave me some of my most favorite college experiences and my amazing friends and found family. Again, Troy Phi is an amazing organization, and I love being a part of it. But most of all, I love that you all are a part of it too. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, my name is Thea, as some of you might know. First of all, I'd like to thank you for all the support I've received from everyone since nominations. If you don't already know, I'm a sophomore and I joined Troy Phi almost 2 years ago. And if you told me back then, when I first joined Troy Phi, that I would be running for internal vice president someday, I would have laughed and told you were insane. Growing up in a town that was predominantly white and Latino, I never truly embraced and fully appreciated our culture until I found not only a community, but a family and a home in Troy, Philippines. I just felt so welcomed and supported, and I have to give a lot of credit to my Ate Eunice for that, but also to all the relationships that I've built because of this organization. But I also know that not everyone has had a positive and welcoming experience, which leads to inactive members and people who choose not to join, which makes me really sad to think about because I want this environment to be a place of comfort and joy to everyone as much as it is to me. When talking to people who aren't involved in Troy, Philippines, a recurring concern that I hear is that they feel like everyone is already close friends with each other, and that makes them hesitant to get involved because it's hard to find people to talk to. I think that the interest groups that were introduced this semester have the potential to allow people to find these smaller communities within Troy Phi, but I believe that they would be more effective if I had a chance to develop them next year as IVP. Something that I also believe Scott did so well as IVP this year was making an effort to talk to every person that he saw at Troy Phi events, and he built genuine connections with them, which is something that I really admire and constantly try to incorporate into my own interactions, both inside and outside of Troy Phi. I currently have 4 audings, Mishi, Sam, Elijah, and Zeke, and I hope I'm doing a good job as an ate to them, but regardless, it has been so fulfilling to have the opportunity to bond with them and watch them grow. As much as I would love to pick up a dozen more audings, I don't think it's realistic, but being IVP would allow me to act in that mentorship role on a larger scale to leadership interns. I would also like to have regular interactions with leadership interns in less formal settings to be able to build that trust and openness with each other and invite them to see me not just as a leader, but as someone they can trust and be comfortable talking to, while also keeping them accountable and responsible, because I want to be able to set them up to succeed in future endeavors, whether it's leading Troy Phi or leading something else. I have a lot more ideas for the leadership program next year, and some of them include more casual meetups with interns, like one-on-one casual chats, off-campus trips like the beach day that I planned earlier this semester, maybe some team-building activities to help them get closer to one another as much as I would like them to get close to me. And I'd love to get to know them, learn about their interests, and encourage them to start an interest group, which I could supervise and be very hands-on with early on in the process until they feel comfortable leading it on their own. And it's a great opportunity to demonstrate leadership. I would also like to incorporate more professional development events like resume building and making LinkedIns. And if I'm feeling a little ambitious, maybe pull them out of their comfort zone and have them reach out to someone on LinkedIn who's involved in something they want to pursue in the future. I also want to bring this environment of trust to eBoard next year. As an intern this past year, I saw a side of the board filled with people who wanted to work so hard to fulfill all of their commitments that it became unrealistic to do these things on their own. We're afraid to burden other people with our responsibilities, myself included, but this only leads to burnout, and it was really bad for my mental health. We need that consistent reminder that we as interns and eBoard members are all here to support each other. and as IVP, I would want to help us recognize when we should ask for help. I learned that years ago, previous Troy Phi president and my grand aunt Rochelle sent out a check-in form, similar to the How's Your Heart form, every week for the board to fill out to see how they were feeling and how they could be supported, which is something that I would want to bring back as IVP. Another thing that I would like to bring to eBoard next year is reminders to do everything with intention. I'm sure we all have busy schedules, and it's easy to forget why we do the things that we do. Something as simple as adding a section on eBoard agendas on why are we doing this and for who might help us find motivation and passion to execute our events to the best of our ability. Everything that we do as an organization is to serve our members and our community, and because of that, I want to send out semesterly evaluation surveys to get input directly from the general members on how we could do better as a club and find ways in which they can be more involved in leading the direction of Troy Phi. Lastly, my top 2 love languages are quality time and acts of service, and that's what I have to offer as IVP of Troy Phi. Thank you all for listening.
What's up, everyone? My name is Caden Tran, and I am so honored and hyped to be running for the position of External Vice President. You may know me as the guy with sunglasses on, jumping around at every social asking everyone for song requests, or the guy always pulling that big speaker around to every TP function, or maybe just the person you always hear laughing so loudly all the time. But today, I am so excited to be providing you my speech in hopes of being your next EVP. This year, I had the pleasure of serving as your social chair, and I cannot describe how memorable and positive my experience has been thus far. I joined Troy Phi to become closer to my Filipino identity, and being on eBoard has allowed me to create strong friendships with our Troy Phi family. This is exactly what I aspire to do with EVP programming next year. I believe my experience as social chair solidifies my qualifications to be your future EVP. One of the major responsibilities of this position is to facilitate Troy Phi's participation in friendship games. As social chair, Nat and I had the privilege of assisting Griff with the planning and the behind-the-scenes work of it all. This opportunity allowed me to better understand what friendship games is, as well as showed me all of the hype and positive energy that this single event carries. Friendship Games has by far been one of the most memorable events this year, and to see Filipino organizations from all over the West Coast unite, and to see each individual having a dedicated, competitive attitude is something that makes this event so special, and I would be so honored to organize our participation on behalf of TP. My plan is to begin Friendship Games practices as soon as we return from the summer, so that both new and returning members will start to familiarize themselves with the Troy Phi community and hopefully establish close bonds with one another. This would also be a great event that could be dedicated to new member recruitment, as I plan to positively recruit new TP members to get them hyped about our organization. I also hope to better the experience of Friendship Games for those who attended this year. For instance, some input that I received is to look into the possibility of driving down to Fullerton the night prior to the big event to avoid fatigue from waking up at 5 a.m. This would also give our TP members the opportunity to venture off in the Orange County area and bond as a community somewhere off campus. Of course, the ultimate goal is to have fun and strengthen our friendships with one another, both in and outside of TP, so I will make sure to give all my effort, develop a creative SPUF aligning with its acronym, Spirit, Pride, Unity, and Friendship, and keep up my extroverted, hype personality to ensure that this event will leave a long-lasting impression on all of those who attend. Another important responsibility of an EVP is to represent Troy Phi at APASA. Throughout this month, Griff took me under his wing and allowed me to shadow him as our current EVP. In this role, I attended the past 3 weekly APASA meetings where I've interacted with multiple APASA members, as well as familiarized myself with the organization and functions of a typical APASA general meeting. Additionally, I am attending the APASA banquet with Griff to meet the new APASA eBoard and introduce myself to those who plan on making a positive impact on the Asian American community at USC next year. One objective I hope to achieve is to collaborate closely with next year's socials and programming to do more collaborations with other organizations at USC. This semester, I helped spearhead the TPX Tau Collab Party, which resulted in a very large turnout. For the time that it lasted, it was apparent that both TP and Tau members were enjoying their time, and it was a great way for me to interact with Tau's externals and plan a fun event with them for the sake of our members, and I strive to do the same with other organizations within APASA. A project that I wish to take on is to bring Mr. Troy Phi or Troy Phi pageant in the spring. If elected as EVP, I'd like to make this a priority so that EVP has more programming opportunities in the spring semester. I believe this event would be a great fundraiser for Troy Phi, especially if we bring in other Asian organizations as participants and treat this as a collaboration event. As an EVP, I also plan on prioritizing relationships with Filipino organizations outside of USC. This year, with the help of Megan, Troy Phi ignited a relationship with LMU's Isang Bansa. Since October, I have attended their general meetings where I got to externalize and advertise different TP events in front of their entire organization in hopes that LMU members would come support. Since then, we've consistently had LMU externals show up to some of our functions, and I have done the same for them. Last weekend, I attended LMU's PCN where I networked with other externals and asked for advice on how to be a successful EVP. The most important aspect of being EVP, according to them, is to be outgoing, put yourself out there, and meet as many people as you can. Therefore, next year I hope to have an externals committee that would come with me to other SoCal Filipino org events or meetings so that I can support other Filipino communities in the area and strengthen relationships with other organizations in SC PASA, something that has been lacking the past couple years. I am aware that SC PASA just announced their new e-board, and if elected as EVP, I will reach out and understand how TP can further get involved with their events. Next year, if elected as EVP, I hope to keep the next year's social chairs close to me, as they would be the ones assisting me with friendship games. I aim to guide them and lead them into a successful transition. In other words, I strive to be their Griff, the one who they can look up to on e-board for any advice or support, and be that outlet who's always there for them whenever they need assistance for anything. Although the advice I received is that EVP is similar to the responsibilities of social chair, I would still like to acknowledge the efforts both Troy Phi and SC PASA has made towards the advocacy-related events surrounding the Filipino community in Southern California. Next year, I plan on keeping myself educated and updated on advocacy issues in hopes of fostering a close relationship with SC PASA. I'd be honored to cater to those in TP who are passionate about advocacy initiatives, and this would be a great pathway for me to learn for both our members and SC PASA members about issues to ensure a promotion of unity among the Filipinx American community. In TP history, it has been a trend for past social chairs to become the next EVP, and I aspire to keep that pipeline strong. As quoted from Rankva, as one EVP said to me once, social chair is the pregame for EVP. And as much as I enjoy serving as your social chair this year, I am confident that I am ready to step up and take on the responsibilities as your external vice president. Of course, for the love and for the culture.
Hi, Troy Phi. My name is Hunter Black, and I am running to be your next external vice president. Everyone has that one TP moment, an experience that defines their time here, that makes them want to keep coming back to Troy Phi. For me, that was my very first GM last spring, speed dating. For those who remember, I was a very different person than how you may know me now. I was shy, unconfident, scared to even walk up to someone and say hello. I was so terrified I would be judged for not coming off as Filipino enough. At my first GM, I was so tempted to turn around and walk away till I was introduced to some people who now became close friends of mine. I stayed. From there, I joined leadership team and came on this year as co-advocacy chair, where I got the chance to know so many of you here personally. I watched myself break out my shell and become confident and energetic, someone I can be proud of. The fact that a year later after joining TP, I can stand up here and feel comfortable giving a speech to you all is incredible. It's all because of the supportive culture that we contribute to. You all gave me memories I will cherish when looking back on my college experience, and I'm running to give back to the second home that made me into the person I am today. As EVP, I want to expand upon past events through innovative means and provide new experiences to our members, whether you're returning or new. Through an expanded welcome week, we can bridge the gap between when prospective members first see an involvement fair to our first GM. Board dinners, informal mixers, pen pals, and more are just some of the ways that we can ensure no new member feels alone before their first Troy Phi experience, as well as pop-up socials like this semester's game night for returning members to remind them of the home they found in TP. Through building upon the amazing work done with Friendship Games this year, we can make it more of an external experience. Joint practices with other Filipino orgs as well as an external buddies program are some ways that we can bond both within ourselves and with others during the games. And the external headliners wouldn't just stop at Friendship Games either. I would strive to bring back Mahal Island in person for the fall and kick off Mr. Troy Phi for the spring semester, creating new outlets for us to further our external connections and friends. Through increased external communications, we have the potential to revitalize all aspects of Troy Phi, in addition to our social sphere. One of the main issues we discussed as a board this year was how to make our programming more engaging. Through joint general meetings with orgs who have similar meeting times with us, such as UCI, we could provide a fresh experience across all aspects of TP's environment. Every corner of Troy Phi, whether advocacy, culture, or more, can be amplified through this external social aspect to provide a new take of what we can offer to programming. Through publicizing outside the org's events in our weekly newsletter, we can provide continuous opportunities to externalize for our GMs beyond the scope of general programming, and doing the same within APOS's newsletter so that we can provide that broad outreach for TP and get our word. After having the pleasure of serving as your advocacy chair this year, you can trust I have the experience and dedication to go even further as EVP. As advocacy chair, I communicated with SE PASA and EVPs from other schools for mobilization efforts and community gatherings, where I gained insights on how to further externalize our org to new heights. Alongside my amazing co-chair Amanda and best interns Sam and John Ray, we spearheaded the revival of our Filipino Studies campaign, centering advocacy as a core facet of TroyFi's culture. Through delegation with this year's AVO team, effective communication with the rest of the board, and long-term project planning, I had the direction needed to execute large-scale events that come with this role. My role as advocacy chair will also always hold a special place in my heart, and I will continue to foster that bridge through facilitating external communications between outside community orgs and next year's AVO chairs. As a board member this year, you can also trust that I will continue to be someone welcoming and approachable to all members and never afraid to bring up important issues. This is only the tip of the iceberg that I want to achieve next year, and as always, there is more to come. I just want to say thank you, Troy 5, for making me feel like I belong somewhere. And if you choose me as your EVP, I'll make this a space for you all to belong to. Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much for your patience tonight, and huge congratulations to the other nominees. Fun fact, to those of y'all who didn't know, each year Troy Fi's e-board has a theme they're intended to keep in mind to help guide their programming. So this year, it was growth, right? And, while this theme might not be so evident in our org's bank account, I do see it tonight. I see it in this room with general members eager to support their friends and make informed decisions about their voting. I see it in the sheer amount of people we have that want to take on leadership positions. We did not have this many people running last year, to those of y'all who weren't here. But most notably, I see it within our members and my peers who I've gotten the extraordinary privilege to grow alongside with each week for the past 3 years. The amount of time I spend with y'all seems wild to me. My roommate actually has this running joke with me now where, whenever he sees me, he would ask, oh, what's up, Scott? Where are you coming from? And before I get to answer, he'd be like, Troy Fi? And 80% of the time, I'd be like, yeah. And you know what? I fuck with it, right? I wouldn't have done this for 3 years if I didn't. And that's because, what a lot of the past speeches mentioned, when I think of Troy Fi, I think of family. Us Filipinos, we're so close, right? Not only to our direct relatives, but also our chosen families, those titos and titas, those uncles and aunts that we eventually find out we're not even related to. To the seniors, I just wanted to let y'all know, I grew up an only child, but y'all have become my kuyas and ates. I promise to do my absolute best not to let you down and make real use of the strong foundations y'all have built here. If I become your president, I want to use next year to take all the growing we've done and start putting it into our ideas. With the momentum we've built and the leaders we've cultivated, I feel that it's time for our org to try new things, expand in different directions, and come up with and really develop strong ideas. Ideas that challenge how we view our club and change it for the better. One big goal that I want to help lead the club towards is new programming. A lot of what we have now consists of presentations and activities that older members are mostly familiar with already. So as president, I want to challenge our new board and myself to come up with new ideas for the organization over the summer. As president, I also plan to encourage our board members to develop things with Filipino culture as a key intention. This year, for example, a small way I did this was by implementing Filipino Word of the Week, which was presented by our spring leadership interns at the general meetings. Shout out LMU for that idea. But even having small things like this, I think, will help tie us all back to what holds us together in the first place, which is our love for Filipino culture. I also have ideas for ways of bringing back the strong sense of kinship our seniors felt before COVID. Imagine entering a GM room full of people and knowing every single one of their names. With some work from each of us, I think this is extremely plausible. One way to do this could be to open the floor during the last part of announcements to give general members the opportunity to introduce themselves and bring any of their outside initiatives to the attention of the Troy Fi community. For example, like the dance workshop my intern David Marr led last week that was open to anybody, right? I also really want to have general member shout-outs during announcements, which would give us an opportunity to recognize one another for our different achievements in each of our different fields. So this could be called Ang Galing Naman, which means like that's amazing or impressive. So during this part of announcements, an example could be like, Ang galing naman ni Stevie and Nina for planning retreat tomorrow, right? Imagine a lot of clap, like, woo, woo, like everyone's like, yay. Then I go, it doesn't have to be Troy Phi related, but you see how good that felt? On that note, though, I do want to leave some time for any questions or ideas for next year that y'all might have. But I just wanted to say, regardless of the results, just looking at the leaders in this room, I'm extremely confident and hella hyped for next year. Thank you.